If you have an Exway e-skate, well, certain Exway e-skates, and I've got something really cool to show you today. It is the Exway Rexus remote control. Welcome back, I'm Tony, and I don't usually do a deep dive on a remote control for an electric skateboard, but this is different. It's different in a lot of ways, and functionality is the key on this one. Not only that, but a big, beautiful display. And not only that, the functionality of it will grow over time because it has over-the-air updates, and right now there's actually one feature on here called, it's driving recording or black box, and what that is basically like a black box for a plane where it records all of the particulars of your board and the rides that you're doing. That's pretty cool, but it's not functional on here yet. They do promise that in an update, and I think that you never know what they could do with this thing with updates. There's like a quick release system that's on the end of this, and currently, if you look at the Flex Paragon on the website, which this does come with, you get a free remote protector and a Rexus extended mount. And apparently that's for GoPros, Insta360s, and that kind of stuff, but I could totally see them doing like a light on here, where every time, everywhere you point the remote is where the light goes. That would be cool. So what I'm saying is that it is expandable, and we should see more out of this thing as we go along. All of that does come at a cost. This is not your Amazon $20, $30 remote. This remote is, it lists for $239 on their website. It's actually on sale for $215 right now. I'll put a link down in the description directly to it, and I think I have a coupon code that might help you out a little bit with that too. And while that might sound like a lot, especially if you're just getting into electric skateboards or e-skate, it really isn't, because you know what? Skateboard wheels, helmets, everything that goes with these electric skateboards tends to be from $100 to $200, so that's kind of right in that range, Now, of course, if you get their new Flex Paragon or their Flex 2 Pro, which has ambient lights and other features that this remote can use, this remote is part of that package, so it comes with it. Now, in demoing this thing, I tried my best to cover all of the features. I might have missed one or two or gotten something slightly wrong. Hey, I'm human. But the manual for this is super descriptive, it's detailed, and it actually has pictures, which is very helpful. Now, much of the demo footage is done on the bench, but I did get out and film some onboard real-world illustrations for you to help illustrate the points that I'm making. Now, before we get into all the demo stuff, let's answer the question, what is the Rexus remote control? I'm reading from the first page of the manual. The Rexus remote control comprehensively enhances the information, interaction, and control experience and adds motion sensing control functions corresponding to the turn signal and raise to wake functions. It also adds a new information interaction light at the tail, which can convey braking, link status, and safety signal warning light function. In addition, new functions such as touchscreen quick settings, various theme colors, and tail light color customization have been added. The Rexus will support over-the-air firmware upgrades, and it's currently only compatible with Atlas Pro, Flex Paragon, and future Exway premium skateboards. So the only one that you would need to buy this for, unless you were buying an extra one or you destroyed yours, is the Atlas Pro. If you get the Flex Paragon or the Flex 2 Pro, you get the remote with it. Like I said, this demo stuff is pretty long. Let's get right into it. All right, let's run through some features on here. This is the lock and unlock trigger, whatever you want to call it, button. You got your display up here. And this right here, I understand that this is going to be for attachments that you can hook onto it. These little spaces right there. I'm not completely sure what the attachments will be, but probably light and that kind of thing like that. Of course, you've got your throttle wheel right here. And this feels like might be made of aluminum. This button right here is for forward and reverse. I don't know that I love that being there because it's really close to this. I'd hate to think I would go like, whoop, and switch the direction of it or something like that, but that is your reverse and forward. I don't see people use those that much, and I think maybe that would be something you'd want to put in one of these buttons here. It's the only real complaint that I have about this. The way this thing fits in your hand is just absolutely perfect. It's got a little bit of grip to it. QR code that's on the back will take you to their manual. There's a little light that's back here, and that's actually kind of rubberized. And then you've got your port right here for your USB-C. And that is also covered by a silicone cover there. This button right here is the power button, and it's also the shift button. And then this one is the light button and also the return button. This is also how you get into the menus. Now, of course, you can get the app. You've got to get the right one, which is the EX Skate app, which if you've got this board here, which is the Atlas Pro four-wheel drive, you already have to use that app. So just make sure you're getting the right app. Like I said, this manual is very, very detailed, so I like that quite a bit. So to turn this on, and I think this board will probably turn on automatically. Got this light down here. And there is your display. So it's in neutral right now, and the board is connected, but it will not go until I hit that button right there, and now it will. Now I've chosen the orange, and I've been through the different colors for the display, and you can see that it's ticking down right now. I'll show you that in an actual writing situation in a little bit, but as soon as it gets to the bottom of that, I have it set for 20 seconds right now, and it will go right back into neutral. So now it's locked. This will not work. Well, the brake will work. As you see, the light comes on, but you get nothing when you go that way. I believe the touch screen still works. Yeah, you can still do that. And these are fast functions that you can go and you can actually make your screen less bright, which I'll do for this because it's pretty bright on the screen here. You can turn on and off the A-tip, which is the thing that, saw the countdown there. And then you've got this button right here, which locks the, orientation of it. All right, so it's unlocked now. And the reason for that is that the orientation of this can change, so that it'll be going that way or this way, depending on which way you're holding the remote. And then you're gonna hit this button right here to go back, or you could actually just flick up from the bottom of the screen. Then you can actually pull from the sides, and you've got your light speed and light color. Elsewhere on here, you can see that that is the remote over here, and then the board's over here as far as your battery levels go. That right there is the signal strength, that little thing right there. And then that number right there tells you whether you're in two-wheel drive or four-wheel drive. This is the odometer, so 93.7 miles is what this board has done. And that little indicator down there just means that you can swipe up to get to those menus. This number that's at the top up here, that's your trip meter. And we're gonna hit this trigger, and if I double tap this, 1, 2, then you'll change to miles per hour or your wattage that you're actually using, real-time wattage. There are two functions on here that will not function with this board because this board doesn't have lights or anything on it. So that's this one right here. So if I hit the little light thing, see that it turns on, but there's no lights on the board. That was for ambient light, and then lighting lamp is the other one that's over here. So if you've got a board that has that, like the Paragon or something, then those would be functional. Typically with these eSkate reviews, I don't have to go into the remote that much because it's just, just a remote. It's got your basic features on it. This is quite a bit more than just your basic features. Now this one over here is the power on or power off. So if you hold that down, it's gonna turn off. The board turns off. Now I've got this thing set for quite a long time. It's at least 3 days, maybe it's up to 7 days, so that it's basically sleeping. So when you turn on the remote, it'll turn on the board. Really nice animation to start it off. So yeah, the board automatically turns on, and you could change that. You can make it so that it doesn't turn on. You have to actually go turn on your ESCs, and on this one there's 2 of them. Hit this brake, and of course acceleration and brake, and you'll see that the light down there, when you brake, it's going to give you a red light, so at least somebody behind you will see, if you're holding it down like this, that you're braking. The switching directions right here, and you'll see that when you switch the directions, it does show you on the display. And it keeps it on there as well, so you don't look at it and go, oh, wait a minute. Yeah, so there we go. Now I have this thing set up so that I can switch gears while I'm riding, and you'll be able to change that in the settings here. So you just go like that, and you're switching your gears as you would expect. But if you want to go into turbo mode, then it's 1, 2, 3, and boom, now we're in turbo mode. One click is going to bring you right back to that, and you're back in gear 1. And if you want to go into tank mode, well, 2 clicks on this, 1, 2, and now we're in tank mode. 1 click brings it back out of that. Now this thing does have cruise control. I don't like cruise control, but if you're going to do that, well, you're going to get your throttle going, and now it's in cruise control. If you move the throttle at all, then it turns that off. Now this does have left and right turn signals, but that would be for the board, and I believe you have to have something like the Paragon that has all the lighting and stuff, but let's see if I can get it to do it. So what you do is you tilt it left or right, and then you're going to short press this button twice. Yeah, so that was this button. So yeah, it's not going to do anything on this board. And it does have a parking mode. I don't know if I have that turned on right now. You can do that in the settings, but you're going to pull back the brakes, and then we're going to hit this button twice. 1, 2. Parking mode basically is just it's like an emergency brake on your car. One of the things about this remote is they wanted this remote to operate much like a vehicle would. So let's go ahead and do this. I'm going to hold this down for a couple seconds. Now this comes on. If I wanted to pair it, I could do that. I could go down here, and I'm going to choose using this to choose. So that's select, and then this is return. So I can change 4-wheel drive. I can turn turbo mode on and off. Max speed, what you can do in here is you can go in here and set it so that each one of these modes can only go a certain max speed. And maybe a reason why you might want to do that is, maybe I don't know, my nephew wants to try riding my board or something like that, and he's never really ridden them before, I can make it so he can't go over a certain speed in any of the gears that I choose. Standby, so I have it set on standby for 1 day. I can go in there and change that and choose, up to 7 days of standby. So standby means that when I pick up the remote and turn it on, the board is going to turn on. Then we're going to select that. We'll go down to drivetrain, and you can choose belt, hub, gear. Obviously, this is a belt drive board or other motor. Just going to hit back. Brake intensity, that's where you'll change that. Of course, you can go in the app and you can use all these features, and there might be 1 or 2 extras in there. Motor gear, you can go in here and change which motor gear you have, the size of the pulleys. Wheel gear, wheel diameter. Four-wheel drive, back to that. So we're going to go back here to the menu. Let's go to the remote. So on the remote, control, and then that's where you can choose, the neutral gear thing, the A-tip. So mine will go into neutral gear in 20 seconds, or I can go in there and say, I'd like it to go faster than that. Off. Now, if you want to turn that little switch off altogether, you can do that. 1 second, 5 seconds, or 20 seconds. And again, that's something that could be really useful. All right, so I've got it actually on right now, and the screen is off. I don't know if you can see the display is off, but the light is blinking on there. Okay, and then when I pick it up, put it in my hand, that comes on, and it's in neutral right now. So if I hit that, it won't work. If I hit the brakes, it will work. If I were to stick this in my pocket or something accidentally hit that, well, that's great. You can actually turn that function off completely, but when you hit the trigger, now it's good to go until those little timers run down. So if I had it set for a shorter time, it would obviously go faster. Hit that, and now it's on, and we're ready to roll. Now I've got the daytime brightness on here right now, so it's pretty bright. You can see it, let's get in the sun here, yeah? All right, so the significance of the display being off is that it's not going to use up the battery from your remote while it's off. If it's hanging down there, then that's what it's going to be like. But as soon as you pick it up, there we go. See, it turns itself back on. So if it's in a position where you're going to use it, it's going to be on. It's perfect. Parking mode, I have that turned on. So free mode. Let's look back at parking mode, and I'm looking at the remote here. It says, after turning on this button to activate parking mode, fully apply throttle wheel to full braking position, then short press the A-tip button twice. In this mode, the remote control will not accelerate, and the board is forced to brake. To exit the handbrake mode, press the A-tip button. Yeah, so it works the way I said it would. So on free mode, after activating that, the throttle wheel will allow the board to go in reverse after braking to a full stop. I just keep that turned off myself. Cruise control, I have it turned on. If I want to use it, I will. Gear limit on or off. So with gear limit, it's going to limit the highest available gear during riding. This function should be used when allowing inexperienced riders to use the skateboard. So you could say, I only want them to be able to use 1 and 2. Shift lock. Shift lock is the one that allows you to change your speed while you're actually riding. So that I prefer. I don't want to have to slow down, stop the board just to change my speed. Then you can go to display, and on here, raise to wake. Now I like that because saving battery with this display, when the remote is down and riding position, then the screen is off. When I pick it up, then it'll just turn itself on. Screen rotation allows it to either rotate that way or that way. Brightness, you can just do that brightness one through that quick menu from the actual screen, and then your unit. Go back. Calibration, you can go ahead and calibrate it if you need to. You can unbind your phone if you had that in there with the app. And then your theme color, you can choose from these colors. You got a green, you got white, pink, green, blue. And I chose orange. That's the one that I find I can see the best at, during the day. And we've got other options on here like light, which, I don't have lights on this board, so not worried about that. Let's take a look at it. On or off? Well, let's go ahead and say on. Well, that actually made that blink back there. So maybe that's just for letting people know that you're there or something. Animation. Got a color wheel to choose your colors. Brightness, speed, night brightness, night end, and all of that. Night begin. Other. System version, driving record. Now, from what I understand, that driving record, it's basically going to be like a black box on a plane. It will store all of your information, but that doesn't seem like it's active right now when I press that. They say that that's going to be coming in a future firmware update for this. And then you got your firmware upgrade. Language, English, and the guide tells you to wear a helmet. So it's a very thorough remote. You know, you can use the app and you might get a little bit of extra functionality out of it, but this doesn't really need that. Curious to see what these attachments are going to be like, because that is what that is for right there. It says right there, extension holes. So there we go. It is not your run-of-the-mill remote. It's got tons of functionality to it. I really like it. And I think, you know, $215 is pretty reasonable for this. You know, if you wanted to, I don't know, when you get your Atlas Pro, it came with that little tiny remote with a very, very small display. And I hardly ever looked at it because I wear glasses, man. I mean, trying to look at that thing. But this, totally clear. It would be cool if they had like a kit that you could buy to plug into your Atlas Pro so that you could add lights to it and use the functionality of this, even if it's just tail lights and headlight, that type of thing. So yeah, that is one fancy remote. I tell you what, it feels really comfortable in the hand. And I do have one complaint that I pointed out in there, is that reverse button. That's really the only complaint. Oh, I do want to point out that this is a metal bezel that goes around this. It's supposed to protect the screen. But, you know, if it does hit directly onto the screen, that is still going to smash your screen. I've got the new Insta360 camera, and that lens protector is like a little thing you just twist on and off. Wouldn't it have been nice if they would have made this so you could twist that off and put a new one on there or something like that? Just an idea. You're welcome, Exway. Other than that, this is a pretty fantastic remote. A little bit extra grip on it. I didn't realize that they had a remote protector. Maybe I'll have to get one of those for it. But as far as the Atlas Pro goes, this has greatly increased my joy of riding that board. No more tiny little screen that I can't see, you know, wearing glasses. I have to kind of, you know, I just really never looked at it. Now I look right down, I can see everything at a glance. It's great. I'm looking forward to what they'll do with the software or firmware updates on this thing. It does over-the-air updates, so that's also very good. And I'm looking forward to seeing what kind of attachments they're going to come out with. Like I said, a light would be great because you could just point it wherever wherever your remote's pointing. Although I'm not so sure that I really want things attached to the front of my remote, because I need that remote to be pretty versatile, so I'd have to try it out, but you know, still a good concept. Is it worth $215? That is up to you, the individual. If you're like, yeah, I could really see that improving my experience, then yeah, totally. So that is the Exway Rexus remote control, and I want to thank you so much for your support here on the channel. Likes, comments, shares, subscriptions, always very important to my channel. So if you like what you see, hit the thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed yet, there is a red subscribe button down there and a notification bell. If you click both of those, you'll get notifications when I upload new videos. You'll also notice a thanks button right down below this video. If you're so inclined and want to toss a couple bucks my way, that'd be great. It is not inexpensive to run these channels, and every little bit counts. But most importantly, I'm just appreciative that you're here. I really, really do appreciate your support. It means the world to me, and it's very humbling. So thank you so much for being here. Well, that's going to do it for this episode. We'll catch you next time on the Vapor Trail channel.